Hey Cowboys Nation, welcome back. Today we need to unpack something that's been floating around in the media and making rounds across social feeds. Because it's one of those situations where what you see at first glance could not be further from what's actually happening. I want to break this down for you, so you really understand who's being talked about, what's being said, and how it's being framed. Because if you just skim the headlines, you are going to come away with a completely different story than the reality on the field. So, let's start with the heart of the matter. Recently, there was a clip circulating featuring comments from a top defensive player talking about quarterbacks in the league, and some fans are running wild thinking this was high praise for Dak Prescott. Now, let me tell you, that is not what's happening here. The way this was packaged is crucial to understand, because it's a classic case of a clip being taken out of context, leaving the wrong impression for casual viewers. What's really happening is that the conversation in that clip centers entirely on Jordan Love, the Green Bay Packers quarterback. Yes, Dak Prescott's name gets mentioned for a brief second, but the substance of the discussion, the analysis, the praise, the breakdown of performance was directed at Love, not Prescott. This is something that, if you aren't careful with your media consumption, you can completely miss, because the way these clips are captioned and shared can make it feel like someone is hyping up a Dallas Cowboy win. In fact, that's not the case. The person speaking is clearly dissecting a quarterback's performance under difficult circumstances, highlighting how missing key receivers affects game management and overall team output. He talks about a quarterback who has had to navigate the season without half of his starting wide receivers, making adjustments week after week, and performing at a level that deserves recognition. But this is Jordan Love we're talking about, not Dak Prescott, and yet, in the social posts and some headline captions, it's being presented in a way that makes casual viewers think that Dak is the focal point of the praise. Now, here's where it gets interesting and where I want to be very clear. The person in the clip is doing exactly what you would expect a professional athlete to do. He's praising a fellow quarterback for excelling under challenging conditions. He's highlighting the effort, the adaptability, and the intelligence required to manage a team with so many moving parts missing. It's good, smart commentary, but it's also a reminder for all of us, Cowboys fans included, that just because someone mentions a player's name in passing doesn't mean the full statement applies to them. Dak Prescott was mentioned in passing, sure, as one of several quarterbacks performing at a high level, but there was no deeper analysis of his play, no breakdown of his accomplishments this season, and certainly no argument that he's being overlooked in the same way that the main subject of the clip is being discussed. It's wild how quickly things get twisted online, because you have media platforms and fan pages eager to drive engagement, and sometimes that leads to misleading framing. In this case, a brief mention of Dak's name gets turned into the impression that someone is rallying for his MVP candidacy or talking up his season in ways that just aren't supported by the actual words in the clip. What actually happens in the video is that the analysis dives into the nuances of handling a team missing key receivers, adjusting play calls, and performing under pressure, which again is all about Jordan Love. It's a nuanced, thoughtful discussion about how a quarterback can navigate a difficult season and still put up impressive performances week after week. And let's talk about why this matters for us as Cowboys fans. There's a lot of passion, a lot of investment in our team and our players, and that's exactly what makes these situations tricky. When you see a clip like this packaged in a certain way, it can stir up emotions and make people think that someone who isn't even part of the team anymore is being celebrated at the expense of our guys. That's where you have to pause, take a step back, and really listen to the words being said. It's not about Dak being overlooked or ignored, it's about a narrative being shaped that makes it feel like that's the case, and that's why paying attention to context, to the source, and to what's actually being said is so important in today's media environment. There's also a layer here about accountability and respect for the organization. Let's be honest. When a player leaves the team, fans naturally have strong feelings. Some may want to hold on to the past. Some may wish the player would come back, but the reality is that loyalty and effort are earned through actions, not nostalgia. Dak Prescott has shown up for this team consistently, but the conversation here is about someone else entirely. That doesn't diminish Dak's contributions or performance, but it does show how narratives can be manipulated, intentionally or not. When a clip is clipped, captioned, and circulated without careful attention to what's actually being said, And the frustration among fans is understandable, because seeing a Dallas Cowboys platform seemingly promoting someone who no longer represents the team can feel disrespectful, but when you break it down, you see the actual focus is elsewhere. It's also a reminder to all of us why being critical of the media we consume is crucial. If you just go by headlines, by snippets, by social media clips, it's easy to form the wrong opinion. And when you understand the full context, it becomes clear this was never really about Dak Prescott. His name gets a brief mention, but the deeper discussion, the thoughtful breakdown, and the analysis is entirely focused on Jordan Love navigating the season with limited resources and performing at a level that deserves recognition. So, Cowboys Nation, the takeaway here is simple: don't let packaging, captions, or the way clips are shared trick you into believing the narrative is about our quarterback. When it's not, pay attention to the words, listen carefully, and understand the context. The media can be clever, but when you know what to look for, you can see right through it. The season is long, the performances are real, and our focus should always stay on how our team is executing on the field, week in and week out, and celebrating the players who are committed to earning every bit of recognition by showing up and delivering. Now that we've broken down the misleading framing, let's shift our focus a little and talk about what really matters for Cowboys Nation. This is about keeping our eyes on the field, on the plays that define our team, and on the players who show up every single week for Dallas. One of the most important things to remember is that football is a team sport, and the quarterback may get the headlines, but the effort it takes to make those games happen comes from the entire roster. From the offensive line that gives the QB time, to the receivers running their routes, to the defense putting pressure on the other side. And when you look at Dak Prescott, he has consistently delivered in that environment, showing leadership, poise, and the ability to execute under pressure. This is not just about statistics, it's about command of the huddle, quick decision-making, and the kind of play that inspires confidence throughout the locker room. What's frustrating in situations like this is seeing narratives pushed that try to compare, manipulate, or shift focus onto someone who no longer represents the team. When a former player or commentary about a player on a different team is framed to look like praise for Dak, it can stir unnecessary debate and take energy away from our own players' accomplishments. Fans get excited, they speculate, they dream about comebacks or hypotheticals. And that's natural, but the reality is that our energy and attention should be on the current roster and how these athletes are performing week after week. Cowboys Nation has always been passionate, and that passion is our strength. But it also comes with the responsibility of cutting through the noise. We have to separate the hype from the reality, the headlines from the actual performance, and the words that are meaningful from those that are filler. The way these clips are edited and shared is a perfect example of why context is everything. In the 21st century, media moves fast, social platforms amplify messages, and sometimes a single misrepresentation can spiral into a larger misconception if fans don't take a moment to analyze what's really being said. That's why paying attention to the details matters so much. Listen to the player speaking, not the captions or the thumbnail or the way a post is worded. If you do that, you'll notice the difference between someone being analyzed, praised, and discussed versus someone whose name is simply mentioned in passing. The difference is subtle, but it changes the entire narrative. In this case, the discussion was about a quarterback who has had to face unique challenges and still performed at a high level, and that deserves recognition. That's the reality. Anything else is just noise, and let's be real here, fans' emotions are tied to loyalty and identity. We've been through highs and lows with this team, and every offseason, every trade, every draft pick brings a new wave of speculation and hope. That's part of what makes being a Cowboys fan so engaging. But it also means we have to be smart about the narratives we allow ourselves to be influenced by. Celebrating our players' achievements, supporting their development, and staying informed about real performance is far more rewarding than chasing a misrepresented clip or a fleeting social media moment. It's about the long game, the strategy, and the appreciation for what our team is building over time. Now, when you break down Dak Prescott's performance this season, it's undeniable that he has been a driving force for the Cowboys' success. The quarterback is leading, throwing, and making critical decisions that directly impact wins, but this doesn't mean every clip that mentions his name is about him. That's the key takeaway. The conversation we've seen online was carefully constructed. intentionally or not, to create the illusion that someone was hyping up Dak Prescott when, in reality, the focus was elsewhere. It's important to recognize that the football community, especially on social platforms, can sometimes package content in ways that serve multiple agendas. And understanding those agendas is part of being an informed fan. It's not about cynicism. It's about clarity. Another aspect to consider is how we respond as a community. Cowboys Nation is built on energy, knowledge, and dedication. When misleading narratives circulate, the best response isn't to get swept up in the speculation or to argue endlessly on social media. The best response is informed discussion, critical listening, and celebrating the performance of our team without letting distractions dilute our focus. Dak Prescott deserves our support. Absolutely, but that support is rooted in his actions on the field, not in misinterpreted commentary or a 2-second name drop in a clip that's largely about another player. Understanding that distinction allows us to appreciate our quarterback while staying grounded in reality, and it also ensures we don't get caught up in unnecessary drama about players who have moved on. This season, every snap, every drive, and every game matters. The offensive line, the running backs, the receivers, the defense, all of them contribute to the bigger picture. And Dak Prescott is leading that picture with consistency, focus, and determination. He's navigating the season with the kind of professionalism and execution that fans can rely on. Yet, it's crucial to see the difference between actual performance praise and social media spin. Those are two very different things, and as fans, we need to be able to distinguish them. The energy, emotion, and loyalty that Cowboys Nation brings should be channeled into celebrating the team's real accomplishments, dissecting game film, understanding strategies, and appreciating the players who are actively representing Dallas on the field, giving their all every single week. So, when you see clips, posts, or commentary that mention our quarterback in passing, take a step back. Listen closely, examine the context, and remember that a brief mention does not equal full endorsement or praise. The real story is always in the substance, the analysis of performance, the breakdown of challenges, and the recognition of effort under difficult conditions. That's what matters. That's where we focus our energy, and that's why, as Cowboys fans, we continue to stay informed, engaged, and passionate, not by the hype or misrepresentation, but by the real, tangible excellence we see on the field. The NFL is full of narratives, twists, and talking points, and it's easy for anyone to get swept up in excitement or controversy. But the truth is, the dedication, the sweat, and the victories belong to those who are actively part of the team, who wear the star on their helmet, and who commit to performing at the highest level every week. As fans, that's where our attention, our loyalty, and our energy should remain. Misleading clips and social media spin are distractions, and while they might be entertaining for a moment, they do not define the reality of the season or the achievements of our players. Understanding this allows us to stay grounded, focused, and fully invested in the Dallas Cowboys' journey this year, game by game, play by play, and drive by drive. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. A sudden tremor rippled through the NFL landscape as whispers grew louder around the Dallas Cowboys facility. What began as a quiet murmur in the halls of the Star has turned into a full-blown rumor storm. The team may have finally chosen its new defensive coordinator. Nothing is officially confirmed, but insiders insist the decision has been made behind closed doors, with players and staff reportedly reacting in hushed excitement. The Cowboys, always a franchise under a national microscope, have been unusually silent during this search. That silence only feeds the speculation. Several names circulated in recent days, from seasoned strategists to unexpected rising talents. But word around the locker room suggests that the choice is someone who blends innovation with a hard-edged approach, someone capable of reshaping the Cowboys' defensive identity from the ground up. According to people close to the situation, meetings have been happening at unusual hours, with select veterans allegedly being briefed on schematic changes. A few players were even spotted leaving the building with what appeared to be new defensive playbook material, though team personnel refused to comment. Some around the league claim the front office has been targeting a figure known for aggressive fronts and disguised coverages, a style many believe perfectly fits the roster's strengths. Fans have already begun buzzing online, trying to connect dots that may not even be there. But the momentum behind this rumor feels different, more concrete, more deliberate. Even rival executives are quietly acknowledging that the Cowboys may be preparing a major strategic pivot if the whispers hold true. The franchise could be on the verge of unveiling a defensive architect who brings both shock value and fresh energy. For now, though, everything remains in the realm of speculation. The Cowboys appear content to let the tension build, fueling the growing belief that a surprise announcement is imminent until the curtain is pulled back. The mystery continues to swirl, and the entire football world waits for the official word. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.